Hey everyone, Synth Designer back at it with another video on sound design basics. And if you haven't checked out my previous video on the saw wave, I suggest you go and take a look at that one, or just follow along with this one. Today we'll be talking about the sine wave. Now, most people consider the sine wave the most fundamental of all sounds. I won't get into the technical aspects of it because this is not the purpose of this video. The purpose is to show you how the sine wave sounds in different contexts and how you can use it in your sound design. As a beginner, you really don't need to get caught up too much in all the scientific aspects of it. Mostly you kind of just want to learn how to use it so you could get into creating the sounds that you want. Now, I will say briefly, I will show you exactly how it looks on a frequency analyzer again, because this will show you how this wavetable differs from something like the saw wave. As you can see, I'm playing the C note, and all you see here is the C note. If you remember our previous video, you saw all these upper harmonics being triggered by me pressing and holding the C note with the saw wave. Well, now we only get the one fundamental line here. So what does that mean? Well, it doesn't have upper harmonics. So if I turn on the filter here and just take the A oscillator and turn on the filter, nothing is changing up here because that fundamental is lower in the frequency range here. So it's in the 2 to 300 region, whereas this is cutting off. Right now it's in the 700 region. Now we're starting to get a little bit quieter because it's cutting off part of it. But all this has no effect on it. So what does that say about it? Well, it's actually probably the most powerful sound technically, because it doesn't have those upper harmonics that kind of devalue, let's say, its sound. So what it does is that it's a very powerful sound and very, very good for lower range types of sounds like basses, sub basses. That's why you'll see a lot of sub basses are just plain old sine waves. So let me show you here. Let's pitch it down a couple octaves. Now, I will have to say that you need good headphones or good speakers to hear this. If you're listening kind of like out of a cheaper laptop, you might not hear this, or any cheaper speakers, I should say. Now let's take a look, and you see how low that is. It's in that sub bass region between the 30 and 100 hertz range. So that's oftentimes what people use it for, just to beef up their bass sounds. They don't add much to it. But let's just say, for the sake of this video, how would it sound? Now let's pitch it back up, paired with the saw wave. So basically the saw wave just takes over the entire sound, unless we turn it down quite a bit. And it doesn't sound particularly harmonious in terms of waves because they're not really in unison. So they're kind of competing against each other. Now that doesn't mean you can't use them together. Of course you can. There's a lot of contexts where you'll see that they'll work together. But generally speaking, sine waves are really used to kind of beef up sounds in a lot of ways, or stand on their own. But they're not really used. You won't see them often in pads, for example, other than maybe giving you a little bit of low end. So let's just take this off now. But actually, let's take a look at it and see if we turn on the filter and how it sounds. So now you're getting a little bit of a different sound. Now with that filter, you're kind of thinking about it as more of a bass. So those sounds work together because now you're getting a bit of a bass character to it and a little bit more character from the upper harmonics of the saw wave. You take that off and you're back at the very fundamental of the sine wave. Now let's just take off the sine wave and listen only back to the saw wave. Sounds very, very buzzy. And even though it's an octave down, it doesn't sound nearly as powerful. It sounds loud, but that's about it. So let's take a look at it if we turn the sustain down and get that plucky sound again. Now I don't have to tell you, you can hear how it can be used in a lot of different contexts, from creating your own drum sounds to creating your own bass sounds. Now let's turn the saw wave and turn the filter back on. Let's just turn up the drive a little bit here, maybe. Now let's turn on the sub and have this turn down a couple octaves as well, and have this as a sine wave as well. Now we're really starting to get a very basic but very powerful bass, just like that. Now you may not think of it as too much yet, but these are the foundations of sound design and how you can create great bass sounds. So I wanted to show you just how quickly and easily you could create these sounds. Now I just took this stock sound that I got from Serum, and look what we have here. We have the sine wave and the saw wave. Now this mod wheel allows us to change the cutoff a little bit. And you can hear that type of bass in so many songs, especially through the 90s, that kind of bouncy bass through, house music all throughout the 90s. So as you can see with these two waves that we have here, just the type of sounds you could create very easily and very quickly. Now this one I didn't create personally. However, look at the effects. There's only a filter here. There's no use of the LFO. There's some envelope use, which I will explain in another video. However, you can see with two very basic waves here, you can get pretty far into creating a very good, very common sound. So there you go. That is how, just one of the ways you can use a sine wave. So I hope you start to get a better understanding of how to use some of these waves and how versatile they can actually be. So I hope you enjoyed the video, and see you next time.